Today we're going to be talking about the Spanish-American Revolution. These are revolutions that took place in the Americas, and they were Spanish colonies. We're going to focus on the time period between 1810 and 1825. And the revolution that's going to start us off is the Mexican Revolution. So the reason why Spanish America was so ready for revolution is because they were inspired by the North American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Haitian revolutions. And also throughout Central and South America, people started to learn about the European ideals of the Enlightenment. Here are the Spanish colonies around the world. So if you notice, most of their colonies are in the Americas. So why did they revolt? They became increasingly upset with trade restrictions. They could only trade with Spain when they could make more money trading with other countries. We saw this in Haiti and the Americas. They also had high taxes, which we see in most revolutions so far. And then they had rigid colonial social structures that gave the upper class more privileges than the lower class. The lower class also suffered poor working conditions, such as low wages and slavery. There was brutal oppression, no trial by jury. There were no rights, no representation. And the Creoles and Mestizos had to pay high taxes, and we'll talk about them in a second. So there was an alliance between church leaders and the Creole elites, and they raised an army to rebel. What we're going to see here is in 1821, Mexico declares their independence, and in 1823, Mexico becomes a republic. However, they're going to have some troubles in their first years. So it took Spanish America colonies longer to mobilize and move towards revolution because they had little tradition of self-governance. The Spanish had such an authoritarian control, such a oppressive control over them, that they had trouble setting up a government. This time period, between 1823, was good for Spanish American colonies to rebel because Napoleon, who took charge in France after the French Revolution, is actually going to invade Spain and Portugal in 1808. So they're going to have an invasion in Europe. However, Spain is going to have to turn its attention to stop Napoleon and turn its resources to stop Napoleon. So that allowed the colonies to have the ability to rebel. So in 1810, we see Miguel Hidalgo and Jose Morales lead the fight against Spanish rule in Mexico. They wanted two things: political freedom, which includes representation in the government. Includes starting a new government that had representation for everyone, ending slavery, and improving lives for all. So here was the social structure that we were talking about. So what we see is Spaniards from Spain. Now, this group, the upper class Spaniards from Spain, are the only ones who could participate in government and could hold a governmental role. Then we have Creoles, who were Spaniards, but born in Mexico. They did not have the same rights as Spaniards. They had a lot of rights, however, they could not hold certain jobs and positions within the government. Then we have Mestizos. These are people of mixed blood, mixed between Native American and Spanish. And then Indios are the natives. There were Africans in Mexico at the time as well. So on September 16th, 1810, we see Miguel Hidalgo deliver a sermon. He called for an end of Spanish oppression. He called for an end for not having sane government. He called an end for slavery and poor working conditions. And he called for the independence of Mexico. This is what marks the beginning of the Mexican War for Independence. So what we see here is about 50,000 Mestizos, mulattoes, Native Americans, Creoles come together. They're armed with what they have, what they used in the fields, and they come and they fight against the Spanish. Remember, the Spanish are weak because of Napoleon's invasion. They take up the picture of the Virgin of Guadalupe as their symbol. Remember, from the feast that we just had in school, the Virgin of Guadalupe was a sign that God cares for all, no matter race, no matter social standing. So Miguel Hidalgo is going to show that all people matter as kind of their plea for independence. Miguel Hidalgo is going to be captured and executed. However, the fighting continues, and they're going to write their constitution on August 24th, 1821. However, afterwards, Mexico gains their independence. They're going to be an unstable republic. They really struggled with their economy. Remember, Spain pretty much stripped them of all their silver and all their valuable natural resources. So Mexico is going to struggle in the years after independence and actually experience some corruption within government. So it is a long struggle. Along with the corruption in government and the economic struggles, we see violence start to break out between classes, races, and religion. So the legacy is the Constitution of 1824, prohibited slavery, allowed for elections, and Mexico was a Catholic country. All right, next we'll talk about the Latin American revolutions with Simon Bolivar. Thanks, bye.